Hello and welcome to ranD&D for our very first ever episode. I am Tim. I am a dungeon master and a guy who likes rolling on lots of random tables and for random things. And I am joined with...
I'm Emily. I just drink wine in the background while he does these nerdy things.
Alright, so this will be our very first character episode. So the premise is I'm going to roll for a random class, so job basically for the character, race, human dwarves, all those kinds of things, and then background. And in 5th edition, they gave tables to develop a personality for your character. So every character gets a personality trait, a bond, a flaw, and an ideal. So we're going to take all that and figure out if we have a viable player character for 5th edition D&D.
Can the first party be a high school party on a Friday night, please?
We'll see. We'll see later. To a promenade. All right. So, first up, we have a class. And we have a barbarian. So, barbarian are martial melee fighters. They have primal instinct. So, they are, civilization is weakness. I prefer to live out in the wilderness. Civilization is weakness. I prefer to live out in the wilderness and fight things and hunt, and they're usually very buff, strong characters. So Conan, Hercules, think like the shirtless manimal who wants to go and fight. They also tend to be very tribal, so again, not civilized societies, war leader, danger. Think Thor if Thor didn't wear armor, just like a shirtless Chris Hemsworth charging it.
Well, that's not fair.
In terms of game stats, they can wear light and medium armor, they can have a shield, and they can use basically any weapon under the sun.
So their muscles are their armor?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Typically, barbarians don't wear any bonuses, so rippling pectorals that deflect arrows and stuff.
Deflect arrows?
No, the arrows will probably hit them, but it won't hurt them. They have saving throws and strength and constitution. So again, they're your big, buff, meaty jocks. So
it is a high school party.
Yes, and then they get a limited number of skills. They can choose 2 from animal handling, if they want to be nice to animals. Athletics, obviously. Intimidation, because they're big, scary dudes. Nature, because they can survive out in the wilderness by themselves with their tribes. Perception, and survival. Which means absolutely nothing to you, but is interesting to me.
Sure doesn't.
Alright, and then each barbarian will get a special path they walk as they level up to get additional abilities. And this one will be a totem warrior. So think they go on a spirit quest and have an animal guide that guides them, and they get animal-like abilities from that.
I don't feel like barbarians are this intrinsically spiritual. You can't describe them as a jock on one hand, and then give them this beautiful quest that they go on to better themselves.
They're a jock that really likes wolves or bears or puppies or something.
I like the hierarchy there.
Yeah, it could
wolves, bears, puppies.
It could exist. Totem warriors gain a little bit of ritual casting, so they can actually cast Speak with Animals and Beast Sense eventually. So it gives them a little bit of utility out in the world like that. And they just also get a bunch of fighting buffs based on what animal they choose to be their spirit guide.
I'm just picturing shirtless Chris Hemsworth in a flowery field talking to his puppy.
Whatever gets you going, baby.
I think that'll get a lot of people going.
Yes. So this specifically one is going to be a wolf totem spirit. So he gets buffs when he's attacking somebody with his party, kind of like wolf pack tactics kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And he also gets the ability to knock enemies prone. So he gets to push people on their ass pretty easily.
Okay.
So they're really strong. And that helps.
Let's call it a special skill.
All right. So we're going to have a wolf totem spirit barbarian. We get to roll for race now. He is a human. Very exciting for our first character.
So it is Chris Hemsworth.
So it might be just Chris Hemsworth. Yes, the humans are obviously the most common race in Dungeons & Dragons, we're pretty much 100% of Earth as far as I know, but you never know.
The truth is out there.
Basically, what this means is they're also one of the shortest lived, kind of like in most fantasy tropes. So they really want to leave an impact on Earth and make lasting, territories or groups or orders that carry on their name into the ages. Since they're not going to live for multiple hundreds of years like elves and dwarves and things. So they're very focused on rash. Let's do this now. Let me make a name for myself, kind of. Which far from real life.
No, I'd say not.
Alright, so we got a human, wolf, barbarian, totem warrior, and he needs a background. So the background he gets is a knight. So he's going to be a barbarian who got brought up by knights. What a complex,
intricate tapestry of a person that you are weaving right now.
So, knights are basically nobles who like to fight, so they get wealth and power and privilege and all that jazz. That means he's going to need a family name, a history, maybe a coat of arms, all that good knightly stuff. He gets the proficiencies for being a noble, so he gets to know some history and persuasion as his two skills. He went through school and got, history lessons and stuff, and is around a court, which is awesome for a barbarian.
Not pictured. Emily rolling her eyes trying to conceptualize this thing.
He gets a provision in, so maybe he's really good at cards or dice.
Good God!
And he also learns an extra language, so he gets to pick a language to know. And then a feature of being a knight is he gets a couple commoners that are his retainers. So he gets a couple servants in game to, take care of his horse and bring him a cup of water, which a barbarian would not like. So that's going to be interesting as well.
Water or slaves?
Servants, they're paid. This isn't a...
You did air quotes when you said servants, which to me is implied unpaid internship.
I mean, they're serfs, so they're that middle line, but they're serfs, so they're that middle line between slaves and just being poor.
Oh,
feudal society. All
which
right.
did mean great things for women and poor people in general.
It's what it says in the book.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get a personality for this.
I'm really unsure.
So he's a noble dude. He was brought up to be a knight, and then he was actually a barbarian. Surprise, surprise. So his personality trait is the common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. So he's a nice guy.
My hair's too pretty, otherwise I'd pull it out. I'm just so confused.
He's kind and generous to the commoners. That's good. His ideal? Independence. I must prove that I can handle myself without the coddling of my family. Chaotic.
All right.
So, the alignment chart.
Yes.
So he's on the chaotic side of the alignment. I think that could make sense if he was brought up as a knight and went off to be a barbarian. His bond? My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. So we're going Game of Thrones politics, and he needs to make this house.
Wipe up somebody rich.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then a flaw. By my words and actions, I often bring shame to my family.
That's the only thing throughout this entire storytelling that has made sense to me.
So he's also Mulan and must bring honor to us all.
Oh, good God.
Wonderful. All right, so
Please bring honor to us all.
His alignments. So we already know he's kind of chaotic, so he's on the chaotic side. I think with his personality...
Did you establish good, neutral, evil? Lands on
I'm
that
trying
day.
to... We get to figure that out now.
Okay.
So all we have to go on is his ideal is chaotic, and then based on his personality, kind of if we think he's good, neutral, or evil, based off of that. And I think with his personality trait being that he's kind and generous to the common folk, we're looking at a chaotic good barbarian knight man.
Same.
Cool. Glad we settled that one quick.
Oh, I meant same with me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So his skills, because he's a knight background, he's persuasion. He also gets to pick 2 of his barbarian skills. I pretty much always go with athletics, because he's going to have really high strength anyway, so he can climb and push and just be ridiculously strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then history is an intelligence skill. Persuasion's a charisma skill. He's probably not going to be on. But I'm going to pick another intelligence skill for him, which is going to be nature. So he knows a lot about nature. He knows a lot about history. And he's super buff.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to handle this. And
The guy you root for in Naked and Afraid.
yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to roll for stats here for him. Basically, the highest one we're going to put into strength, the second highest we're going to put into constitution, and then because of his skills, he's got a little bit of intelligence-based skills. I want a pretty good score in for intelligence as well. And then as a human, he gets to pick 2 skills to buff by 1, so probably strength and constitution or somewhere else. He gets to choose a feat. Feats are just extra abilities you pick up that help describe your character later on.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll get to do that as well. All right. You ready for this?
Or
The full story. So his name is Rian Hightower.
okay.
Spelled with an I to make it Dungeons and Dragons-y. R-I-A-N.
Oh, I was
Ryan.
like, Hightower already has an I in it. Please explain.
All right. Here we go. Rian of House Hightower was a hot-headed youth who routinely resorted to fisticuffs among his peers. The 4th son of Lord Byron Hightower, Rian received a lord's education and squired to his older brothers. From his privileged upbringing, he was quick to resent the special attention he received from everyone. Rian gained renown in the middle of a squire's tournament, where he would fly into a rage and beat the other noble sons bloody with a club, mace, or axe. He would then be forced to apologize to the other houses and would donate his prize money to the common folk by hosting large parties at the local taverns. On his 16th birthday, in the tourney he was supposed to be knighted, Rian accidentally killed another squire in the melee.
Oh, snap.
The lone son of Lord Gallatin.
He did what?
In order to settle the matter and maintain peace in the city, Rian was charged to compensate the Gallatins in coin, power, or deed, and he withdrew from the city. Rian was silent as he collected his belongings and the gift his father had brought him, a shield with the coat of arms of the Hightowers, a regal wolf.
Okay. But he killed a dude.
Well,
Well,
some things happen by accident when you're a barbarian who flies into rages.
I mean, but then what was the other kid doing? Why would you fight a barbarian who
I-
you know flies into rages?
I don't know. So this kind of gives him his knightly upbringing, but also like hints that he wasn't going to be a knight or fight like a knight.
Everybody loves the bad boy.
So that,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'd start him out just kind of as this renegade guy who beats people up really good for good reasons and trying to like prove himself to this family. I'd say eventually he gets known around town as this young wolf fighter guy who's doing good deeds and the common folk love him. Eventually,
I thought he was exiled from the city.
well, he was exiled to like go and make it up to the other house. So he's got to return eventually to like prove he did good things or give them a bunch of money to pay for the dead kid or something. You know, how they won the lawsuit against him for wrongful death. And
It went to civil court. It did not go to criminal court. And
Yeah.
the family settled.
that's right. That's exactly what happened.
How bleak.
I think it'd be cool to actually make him a knight at some point. Just this wild barbarian knight guy. So
Do you
make
think he
him-
could live by a code? A code of knights?
Well, I mean, he's independent so that he wants to prove himself beyond his family, but I think he could.
I see more vigilante
Shut up.
future for him. But,
Well, that's the trope of chaotic good characters, right?
well, exactly.
All
that's
superheroes are chaotic good.
why- Correct.
I'd like to see eventually maybe a young new order of knights that are like emulating him. So a bunch of like kids who refuse to wear armor and just are really good at going into rages and beating people up, but they call themselves an order of knights. Maybe they're emulating him.
Interesting.
And then, of course, what do you do with a guy who doesn't want nothing to do with his family? Is force him to inherit the title of that family and actually do it. So I think like late game you'd make him become Lord Hightower and
as a dungeon master, one would do that.
yes,
Okay.
that's what I would do to the character. Because you want to take advantage of their flaws and stuff and make them confront it. So if this guy's running away from his family, well, your dad's dead, you gotta go home, kind of thing. Usually fixes that.
Got it.
It's called character growth.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. All right, well, that's our first character. That is Rian Hightower,
With an eye.
the barbarian knight vigilante of somewhere. We'll figure that out in episode 5.
AKA Chris Hemsworth.
AKA
Shirtless
Chris Hemsworth.
talking to wolf puppies in a field.
Exactly. All right, thank you for joining us for our first episode. If you want more, be sure to share it with your friends, subscribe, leave a review, do all those normal things. We will be back shortly with a new character in episode 2. Happy rolling. Hello and welcome to ranD&D.